Morning guys, how you doing? It's Gavyn here from Start Fresh Personal Training, and today's little video is going to be inserted into an intermittent fasting post, and basically what I wanted to just quickly show you guys is how you fit this in when you're doing a shift work. So the traditional intermittent fasting, or the one that I've used in the past and enjoyed, is the 16-8 model. Okay, and the 16-8 model essentially means that you fast for 16 hours, and then you have a feeding window for 8 hours. Okay, so if you have a normal kind of 8 to 4 job, this is actually fairly easy, because you just pick your 8-hour window and then you sort of eat in between that. So like if I was doing an 8 to 4 job, my last meal may be around about, say, 6 p.m. And then I wouldn't eat anything then till the next day. Let's just I wouldn't eat anything until 10 a.m. in the morning, which is okay, because you potentially could go to the gym in the morning and then have your first meal at 10 a.m. Then you would have your meals between 10 and 6 p.m. And which allows you then to have dinner with your family at home. If you have dinner later on, then you probably want to look to swapping this to maybe 11 till 7, and that's how you're going to do it on an 8 to 4. So let's just rub this out a little bit, and I'm going to go through this if you're a shift worker. And like I said, this is how I've done it in the past. By no, and I've had to kind of adapt as I've gone. So my shifts at the moment are essentially 6 on, 4 off, which means I work for 6 days and I have 4 days off. So those 6 days consist of 2 early shifts, 2 late shifts, and 2 night shifts. So this 16-8 thing gets a little bit difficult because you tend to be up at different times of the night. So I'm going to break it down into the certain shifts and how they lap over and how I actually do it myself. So if I go for an early shift, okay, so my early shifts are around 7 till 5. So I like to have dinner at home at around about, I like to have my dinner, so I always work backwards, so I work it off. I like to have dinner at 7. Dinner at 7. Okay, so I want to be at home, having dinner with my family at 7 o'clock, which means my first meal is at 11 a.m. So I usually go to the gym, and I do all my things, and I have my first meal at 11 a.m. Now you might think, oh God, it's such a long time. It's such a long time to wait in between meals. I actually don't find it that bad because I'm pretty busy. So the way I do it is I get up first thing in the morning and I usually go to the gym. And what I found is my gym sessions are actually better when I haven't eaten an awful lot. But I'll have a coffee first, plus 1 large glass of water. And the reason I do that is that I need a bit of a pick-me-up, and then I don't want to be dehydrated, and the water helps me feel full. And then through the morning, so when I start work at 7 a.m. I'll have tea, coffee, or water normally, and with no milk. Because if you start adding milk and stuff to your meal or your coffees and stuff, you kind of break the fast. So that's how my early shift kind of looks. I'll get rid of some of this stuff for you guys. So when I transition then from earlies to lates, the way I do that is that my late shift will be something like well, it varies. Okay, so it's either 2 till 10, or it's 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. So as you can see, they're quite different. So I need to structure it a little bit different that way. So what I tend to do is that on the last early shift, depending on how my shifts work, is that I will maybe push out this. So certainly on a 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. I'll push out maybe the fast the second day, or the feeding window on the second day. So my second early will be, my last meal will be at 7 p.m. Then the next day on my late shift, I'll still eat at 11 a.m. But instead of stopping at 7 p.m, I'll stop at maybe 10 p.m. because that gives me then 4 hours before I usually finish work and go to bed, and I'm not really hungry when I get in. So then I just extend this window out to 10 hours, which becomes a 10-hour window, not 8. And that works really, really well for me. So then, obviously this goes into the next day. So when I go back into the next day, my first meal will be 2 p.m. and it puts me back into the right kind of zone. So what I'm trying to get at is that as long as my fasting window is 16 hours, I'm absolutely happy with that. And even if my feeding window extends out, it doesn't really matter too much. So it'll be 2, and then my last meal again will be 10 p.m. Same as day before. I've just pushed it out a little bit, and it works really, really well. So I'll get rid of this for you guys. So when I'm going on to my night shift now, so my night shifts typically start at either 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Doesn't really matter, and they go through till 7 a.m. So again, I'll try and work backwards a bit. So I want my last meal to be 4 hours before my end of my shift. So that'll be about 3 p.m. ish. 3 a.m. is my last meal. So then obviously transitioning from a late to a night is exactly the same principle. So my last meal on that night will be 10. My last meal is 10 p.m. And then so obviously I'll go, the way I do it anyways, I'll get up in the morning, I'll have maybe a bit of a lie-in as usual, and then my first meal will be 2 p.m. But what happens is then, I usually have a couple of hours sleep, so I may have 4 hours sleep, typically in the afternoon. So it might be from, 3 till 7, let's say. Okay, so I'll have my first meal then, and then my second one, I might have something else when I get up at about 7, and this doesn't really matter too much. Then I'll go from 7 until, 3 a.m. Alright. And then this then gives you my 8-hour window. Right there. So in a nutshell, so then the next night shift will be the same. I'll be in bed by 8, get up at maybe 3 or 4 o'clock, and then that's when I'll start my meals again. So that's how I kind of structure my intermittent fasting on shifts. And it isn't that easy, to be honest with you. It took a little bit of getting used to, but as with anything, if you do it, you'll be absolutely fine. So it's just, the most important things for this is to have a 16-hour gap or fast. And you can manipulate the 8-hour feeding window, feeding up to maybe 10, maybe 11 hours, and you'll be absolutely fine. But Saying that as well, you don't want to be, you don't want to be binging either. You don't want to be binging in between that 8 hours, okay? You want to be having well-balanced meals. Well-balanced, still with protein, carbs, and fat. And, they need to be whole foods most of the time. Okay, it doesn't mean you can eat more because thing. But what I also do, which is a little bit different as well, and I'm going to cover this in more details, I actually use MyFitnessPal. Because obviously my goals of training, I still need to get my amount of calories in. But I just do it in a shorter window. So this just basically means that when I start to diet a little bit, which I never really go too low in calories anyway, it's easier to eat low calories in a short window. Because I tell you something now, if you try and eat a full amount of full day's meals in 8 hours, it's actually quite a lot of food. And some of the benefits of that is I always feel satisfied. The water, tea, and coffee always help me out, make me feel full, and when I'm busy as well, I find out that easier as well. So that's my little take on this. Is how I do the intermittent fasting on using shift work. Hope this was insightful. Hope that you can do it. Give it a crack. Like I said, it isn't for everyone. It actually can get quite difficult, but I'm pretty sure that with a bit of effort, you'll be absolutely fine. But you still need to have your calories in check. You still, I find, track everything on MyFitnessPal, and your meals still need to be well balanced. You're just manipulating your eating times and fasting times. And that is how you do it on shift work. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, drop me an email or drop me a like, share, or comment. Really appreciate it. And like I say, guys, if you don't make a change, like I said, start afresh. Don't make a change today. How will tomorrow be different? Cheers.